Hello and welcome to the California Expanded Learning Grantee Orientation video on Grants 101, brought to you by the California Department of Education Expanded Learning Division and the California AfterSchool Network. This video will cover basic requirements of expanded learning grants funded through the California Department of Education. What are expanded learning programs? Expanded learning programs occur before and after school, during summer, and can also be during weekend, intersession, and vacation period. Expanding learning program components focus on developing the academic, social, emotional, and physical needs and interests of students through hands-on, engaging learning experiences. Understanding the importance of learning beyond the classroom, the California Department of Education Expanded Learning Division was created by State Superintendent of Schools Tom Torlakson in 2011. The Expanded Learning Division's mission statement states California's expanded learning programs are an integral part of young people's education, engaging them in year-round learning opportunities that prepare them for college, career, and life. This mission statement is the foundation for all of the division's work and sets the vision for expanded learning throughout the state of California. There are 3 different grant types that will be covered today. They include After-School Education and Safety Program, or ACES, 21st Century Community Learning Centers Program, or CCLC, and 21st Century High School After-School Safety and Enrichment for Teens Program, also known as ASSETS. You may notice that the 21st Century and ASSETS are combined in one bucket. This is because 21st Century and ASSETS are federally funded programs. The ACES program is a state-funded program as a result of the California 2002 Proposition 49. The program has a 3-year grant period, can be renewed, and is state-funded. The 21st Century and ASSETS programs were originally created from the No Child Left Behind Act and reauthorized under the Every Student Succeeds Act. These programs are awarded through a competitive process, operate for a 5-year grant period, and are federally funded. Agencies that receive 21st Century and ASSETS funding must reapply after the 5-year grant period. Each program's background, context, and requirements are outlined in the California Education Code. The California Department of Education's Expanded Learning Division, in collaboration with K-12 educators, program practitioners, and support providers, created the quality standards for expanded learning in California. On the screen now, you will see the cover of the quality standards for expanded learning. The quality standards are a framework for all stakeholders, youth, staff, K-12 administrators, and other partners to create a shared vision of quality, to assess their own programs in order to help determine what they are doing well and what needs improvement. We recommend that you share the quality standards with all expanded learning staff and stakeholders so that they become familiar with which standards are related to directly serving students and which standards lead to a successful operation of expanded learning programs. Let's test your Grants 101 knowledge with Education Programs Consultant Jen Taylor from the California Department of Education's Expanded Learning Division.
Fact or fiction? ACES is the acronym for After School, Enrichment, and Safety. Fiction. ACES stands for After School Education and Safety.
Next, we will be focusing on the program elements and operations on the ACES 21st Century and ASSETS programs. You will notice that at the top of the requirements, there will be a designated header to designate whether a requirement is related to ACES 21st or ASSETS. In some cases, requirements may be applicable to only one program, such as ACES. In some cases, 2 programs, ACES and 21st Century, and in some cases, all 3 programs, ACES, 21st Century, and ASSETS. Program plan and application narrative. To guide program operation, programs must develop a program plan or follow the plan they submitted as part of their grant application narrative. For ACES programs, this is called a program plan. The program plan must include goals, operations, what outcome measures have been selected, and other information requested by CDE. It must also be reviewed every 3 years. For 21st Century, programs must follow the grant application narrative submitted to the Expanded Learning Division. If there are any potential revisions, the revisions must first be submitted and approved by the Expanded Learning Division. Program plans must include goals, operations, what outcome measures have been selected, and other information requested by the CDE. The program plan is considered a living document that is periodically reviewed and adjusted to reflect the needs of the community and to provide continuous improvement in the development of an effective after-school program. The plan should also include the operational design of the after-school program. The Expanded Learning Division has created a guide to assist grantees to create a roadmap for their after-school programs within the framework of the requirements defined in statute. There are two major program components required for ACES, 21st Century, and Assets. The first one is the educational and literacy component. ACES and 21st Century programs have the same requirement for this component. They must provide tutoring or homework assistance in one or more of the following areas: language arts, mathematics, history and social science, computer training, and science. The Assets program must also include an educational and literacy component with one of the following areas: tutoring, career exploration, homework assistance, or college preparation. The second major component is the educational enrichment component. For ACES and 21st Century programs, this may include fine arts, career technical education, recreation, physical fitness, and prevention activities. For Assets programs, this may include, but is not limited to, community service, career technical education, job readiness, mentoring, service learning, arts, technology, physical fitness, and recreation. CDE encourages research-based curricula and strategies aligned with California state standards, including the Next Generation Science Standards. Examples may include science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM, expanded learning activities in core content areas, language skills and academic achievement for English learners, telecommunications and technology education, fine arts training, for example, visual, performing, and digital arts, nutrition education activities, drug, alcohol, and tobacco education and prevention activities, service learning, mentoring, coordinated school health activities, and character education. Physical activity. For ACES in 21st Century, programs must provide opportunities for physical activity. For Assets programs, a physical activity element is required. To assist with this requirement, the California Department of Education has guidelines posted on the CDE webpage for implementing high-quality physical activity programs. There are some requirements that apply only to 21st Century and Assets programs, the first being family literacy. Family literacy provides opportunities for families to engage in their child's educational development. Some examples include language classes, parenting classes, computer classes, financial planning classes, and computer training. The grade spans for the ACES and 21st Century program are transitional kindergarten through 9th grade. The grades to be served by the program at participating schools may be determined by local needs. The Assets program is for 9th grade through 12th grade. The programs must align with the regular school day. As far as enrollment priorities, first priority shall go to students who are identified by the program as homeless youth as defined by the federal McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act at the time that they apply for enrollment or at any time during the school year, and students who are identified by the program as being in foster care. For programs serving middle and junior high school students, second priority shall go to students who attend daily.
Fact or fiction? A physical activity element is required for all ACES, 21st Century, and Assets programs. Fiction. A physical activity element must be provided for Assets programs. However, for ACES and 21st Century, opportunities must be provided for a physical activity element.
Now that we have talked about grade spans, let's discuss some of the funding and operation. There are various types of funding methods that the Expanded Learning Division uses to track components for expanded learning programs. Components means when a program is operating. To fund after-school programs, the funding type is after-school base. For before-school programs, before-school base. For intersession, vacation, summer, and weekend programs, either before or after-school supplemental, also known as summer/supplemental grant in California Education Code. We are now going to go deeper into the components and specific requirements. The first is after-school base. ACES and 21st Century after-school base programs must commence immediately upon conclusion of the regular school day and operate a minimum of 15 hours per week or at least until 6 p.m. It is the intent for all elementary and middle or junior high pupils to participate in the full program every day. Programs may implement flexible schedule for middle or junior high pupils, however, priority will be for those that attend daily. Individual students may be released subject to the early release policy. Programs must provide a daily snack and/or meal that meets the nutrition standards. There is additional guidance that can be found on the CDE webpage on the nutrition standards for snacks and/or meals. The second component is before school base. ACEs in 21st century before school programs must operate no less than 1.5 hours per regular school day. We often see programs starting at 6:30 a.m. with a school start of 8 a.m. It is the intent that pupils participate in the full day of the program every day. Programs may implement flexible schedule for middle or junior high pupils, however, priority will be for those that attend daily. A student who attends less than half of the daily program hours shall not be counted for attendance. Programs must offer a breakfast meal for all participating. The third component, summer funding or supplemental funding, is for programs that operate in excess of 180 school days. We are grouping this component into 4 operational categories: summer, intersession, vacation, and weekend. ACEs in 21st century can operate weekends, summer, vacation, or during intersession. Before and after school must operate a minimum of 4.5 hours per day. After school can operate a 3 or 6 hour per day program. It is important to note a 6-hour program must be approved by the CDE. Before school must operate a minimum of 2 hours per day. Assets operate a minimum of 15 hours per week. It is not required to operate specific hours and can operate before school, after school, weekends, summer, or during intersession. Note that supplemental grants do not apply to assets. A very important requirement for all programs operating an expanded learning program is a late arrival and/or early release policy. All grantees are required to have a procedure for documenting student attendance. All ACEs in 21st century grants must establish a policy for early release or late arrival. Any child signed out earlier than 6 p.m. needs to be accounted for with a reason in your early release policy. All grantees are required to have a procedure for documenting student attendance. Procedures should comply with this policy. Policies should meet school and/or community needs. Policies should be reasonable, and it is important to remember that the use of the late arrival and early release policies should be the exception and not the rule. For more information, please review the late arrival and early release guidance on the CDE Expanded Learning webpage. Why is a nutritious meal or snack important? Snacks and/or meals help support children's health and academic achievement by providing nutritious meals and snacks that combat hunger and improve nutrition and that draw children into the expanded learning educational and enrichment activities. For ACEs, 21st century, and assets, the requirement is a snack, a meal, or both. The snack or meal must meet nutrition standards. The meal must meet federal CACFP standards, and programs should seek to qualify for federal meal programs. Such requirements include keeping a roster of each child attending your program and tracking the snacks or meals for reimbursement purposes, having on file the snack or meal menu for the day, and serving required snack or meal components. The next requirement is staffing. ACEs in 21st century programs must have a student-to-staff ratio that does not exceed 20:1 and meet the minimum qualifications for an instructional aide pursuant to district policies. For assets programs, there is no staffing ratio, however, student safety is priority. Keep documentation of these qualifications in your personnel files. Examples include credit summary, test results, degrees, etc. Please make sure that documentation is maintained for all staff. All grantees must provide staff training and development. This is an important part of building the capacity of staff and making sure they are successful to support quality expanded learning programs. Examples include, but are not limited to, online or on-site training, workshops, conferences, formal education, and peer mentoring. Content for trainings can include, but is not limited to, the quality standards, including safety, safety procedures, healthy behaviors, science, technology, engineering, and math, structured physical activities, and other trainings that can contribute supporting staff in their role. Be sure to check out the quality standard videos developed by the Expanded Learning Division and California After-School Network available on the CDE website. All grantees must actively collaborate during both initial program development and ongoing program implementation with the students that attend the program. Examples include parents, youth, representatives of participating public schools such as the school site principals and staff, governmental agencies such as the city and county parks and recreation departments, local law enforcement, community organizations, and private sector representatives.
It is very important to get diverse stakeholder voices into the collaboration and quality of your program. This can include surveys, focus groups, interviews, and other opportunities for stakeholder input.
Ongoing consultation with private schools is a requirement that applies only to 21st Century and Assets program. Agencies must consult with the appropriate private school officials that meet the funding eligibility criteria and are in the geographic area to be served. Facility and transportation. All programs must be safe, easily accessible, and provide transportation for off-site programs. Transportation is to be provided to and from the program site if activities are conducted off-site. If the program is located in a facility other than the elementary or secondary school, the agency must ensure the program will be as available and accessible to the students served as if the program were located at a school site, and provide safe transportation. All programs must submit evidence of a data-driven quality improvement process that is based on the department's guidance on program quality standards. An effective program improvement process is ongoing and involves a continuous cycle of assessment, planning, and improvement. While the process should be carried out at the site level, documentation of this process should be submitted by the grantee. This cycle of improvement revolves around 12 critical standards, the quality standards for expanded learning in California, which were developed in partnership between the CDE Expanded Learning Division and the CAN Quality Committee. There is guidance for developing and implementing a data-driven program quality improvement plan on the CDE webpage. All programs are required to participate in the annual outcomes-based data for evaluation. For 21st Century and Assets programs are required to meet evaluation requirements and measures of effectiveness. For ACEs, programs must submit annual outcomes-based data for evaluation, which includes the following: regular school day attendance, expanded learning attendance, continuous quality improvement. For 21st Century and Assets, programs must submit 2 reports: the Annual Performance Report, also known as APR. The APR is a data collection tool that is administered by the United States Department of Education for all 21st Century grantees. Meet evaluation requirements and measures of effectiveness, which are outlined in the application narrative, and submit annual outcomes-based data for evaluation, which includes regular school day attendance, expanded learning attendance, and continuous quality improvement.
Fact or fiction? All after-school-based programs must operate a minimum of 15 hours per week. Fact: ACEs and/or 21st programs must operate at least 15 hours per week and until 6 p.m. every regular school day.
Next, we will cover all of the fiscal requirements for all grantees, including reporting. First, we will start with the direct, administrative, and indirect costs. For all programs, up to 15% of grant funding can be used for administrative costs. Of that 15%, only 5%, or the approved indirect cost rate, whichever is lower, can be used for indirect costs. Therefore, at least 85% of grant funding must be allocated for direct services to pupils. This applies to everyone receiving funding within the grant, the fiscal agent, grantee, and any subcontractors. Match. All ACEs programs shall provide an amount of cash or in-kind local funds equal to not less than 1/3 of the total grant from the school district, governmental agencies, community organizations, or the private sector. Facilities or space usage may fulfill not more than 25% of the required local contribution. Snacks and meals can be used as match. Other examples can include custodial costs. Now that we have covered most of the fiscal requirements, let's talk about attendance. The daily attendance target depends on the total number of school days. Attendance targets are determined by the amount per student per day and the grant award amount. When agencies applied for the initial funding for 21st Century and ACEs, the grant amounts were determined based on the projected number of students the expanded learning program would serve. Therefore, taking the grant amount and dividing it by the rate per day, this would provide the annual attendance goal. The rate per student per day for ACES would be $8.19 per student, and for 21st century, it would be $7.50 per day. Let's calculate the annual and daily attendance targets for a hypothetical ACES grantee. An ACES grantee is receiving $122,850. $122,850 divided by $8.19 would equal an annual attendance goal of 15,000 students. The grantee would then take that 15,000 and divide it by the number of school days. In this example, the typical school year is usually 180 days. So 15,000 divided by 180 days would be approximately 83.33 students per day. In this case, since we cannot count partial students, we say that the target would be approximately 84 students a day for 180 school days. Now that we know about targeted attendance and determining daily and annual target amounts, let's talk about the attendance requirements in Education Code. California Education Code sections 8426 and 8483.7 state that programs should maintain a certain level of attendance in order to retain funding. If sites do not maintain the following attendance levels, they will be reduced. In the most recent year, if attendance is less than 75% of the targeted attendance level, in 2 consecutive years, if attendance is less than 85% of the targeted attendance level, and supplemental/summer grant funding exceeds 30% of the base grants. Program sites should always strive to meet 100% of their annual attendance target. Program sites must meet at least 85% of target attendance each year to avoid a reduction of funds. One challenge that programs face is the determination of attendance, which is based on calendar year. However, attendance reporting is submitted by fiscal year every January and every July. The following diagram demonstrates that for a new grant starting on July 1st, 2019, the first report for attendance would be submitted January 2020 for reporting between July 2019 through December 2019. This is called the first semi-annual report. However, this report would not be counted towards the first year of attendance. For new grants, we understand that the program recruitment takes time. However, grantees are responsible for operating a program during this time frame. Year 1. The next report would be due in July 2020 for reporting January through June 2020 attendance. This would be the second semi-annual report. This report would be the first report that counts towards attendance. The next report, the first semi-annual report, would be due in January 2021 for attendance reporting between July through December 2020. Therefore, the attendance for both of these reports would be combined and categorized as calendar year 2020. This would be the first year for counting attendance. The Expanded Learning Division will review calendar year 2020 attendance. If a grantee's attendance is less than 75% of the targeted attendance level, the grantee will receive a reduction effective July 1st, 2021. Year 2. The second calendar year, 2021, would be the submission of the second semi-annual report due in July 2021 for attendance reporting January through June 2021. The next report, the first semi-annual report due in January 2022 for attendance reporting July through December 2021. Therefore, the attendance for both of these reports would be combined and categorized as calendar year 2021. As mentioned in a previous slide, the attendance requirements are the following. In the most recent year, attendance is less than 75% of targeted attendance level. In 2 consecutive years, attendance is less than 85% of the targeted attendance level. The Expanded Learning Division would first review the most recent calendar year 2021. If the attendance is 85% or greater, then the site will not receive a reduction. If the attendance is less than 75%, the site will be reduced. If calendar year 2021 is greater than 75% but less than 85%, the Expanded Learning Division will look at calendar year 2020. For calendar year 2020, if the attendance is greater than 85%, the site will not be reduced. If the attendance is less than 85%, the site will be reduced to the attendance percentage attained within a 15% cushion. For existing grantees, the following diagram on your screen demonstrates the reduction process starting with fiscal year 2018-19. Year 1, the second semi-annual report would be due in July 2019 for reporting January through June 2019 attendance. This report would be the first report that counts towards attendance. The next report, the first semi-annual report, would be due in January 2020 for attendance reporting July through December 2019. Therefore, the attendance for both of these reports would be combined and categorized as calendar year 2019. This would be considered the most recent calendar year. The Expanded Learning Division will review calendar year 2019 attendance. If a grantee's attendance is less than 75% of the targeted attendance level, the grantee will receive a reduction effective July 1st, 2020. Year 2. The second year, calendar year 2020, would be the submission of the second semi-annual report due in July 2020 for attendance reporting January through June 2020. The next report, the first semi-annual report, due in January 2021 for attendance reporting July through December 2020. Therefore, the attendance for both of these reports would be combined and categorized as calendar year 2020. As mentioned in a previous slide, the attendance requirements are the following. In the most recent year, attendance is less than 75% of the targeted attendance level. In 2 consecutive years, attendance is less than 85% of the targeted attendance level. The Expanded Learning Division would first review the most recent year, calendar year 2020. If the attendance is 85% or greater, then the site would not receive a reduction. If attendance is less than 75%, the site will be reduced. This reduction would be effective July 1st of 2021. If calendar year 2020 is greater than 75% but less than 85%, the Expanded Learning Division will look at calendar year 2019. For calendar year 2019, if the attendance is greater than 85%, the site will not be reduced. If the attendance is less than 85%, the site will be reduced to the attendance percentage attained with a 15% cushion. This reduction would be effective July 1st, 2021.
Fact or fiction? The annual attendance target formula is the total funding amount divided by the rate per student per day. Fact: be sure to use the appropriate student rate per day for this process.
Let's take a moment to review the annual reporting requirements. This includes fiscal reports and attendance reports. The annual budget for all grantees are due in the AfterSchool Support and Information System, ASSIST, an online management system, once the grant award notification has been signed and submitted to the California Department of Education. The quarterly expenditure reports are due in October, January, April, and July every year. This is also submitted via ASSIST. The attendance reports are submitted twice a year, January and July, via ASSIST. It is important to remember that even though these are submitted by fiscal year, attendance is looked at on a calendar year basis. The Annual Performance Report, APR, for 21st Century and Assets is due twice a year, in the fall and spring. There's a specific system used by the U.S. Department of Education for submission of this information. The Annual Outcomes-Based Data for Evaluation is due in October. The file for the grantee to complete can be found on the CDE webpage. The file itself is submitted through a secure file transfer system. The link to the secure file transfer system, including instructions and password, is communicated via email to all grantees. It is important to always make sure that the contacts list in ASSIST are updated with the most current contact information for the grantee. All EXLD information is sent to grantees using this contact information, especially when information on submission of required reports are communicated via email. For more information on updating contacts for ASSIST, please visit the CDE webpage or email assist@cde.ca.gov. Next, we will cover expenditure reports. For Quarter 1 expenditure reports, covering reporting period July through September, the due date will be at the end of October. For Quarter 2 expenditure reports, covering reporting period October through December, the due date will be at the end of January. For Quarter 3 expenditure reports, covering reporting period January through March, the due date will be at the end of April. For Quarter 4 expenditure reports, covering reporting period April through June, The due date will be at the end of July. For 21st Century and assets, all payments are based on the expense of funding. For ACEs, there is a set schedule of payments. Please visit the CDE webpage for the payment schedule. If you have questions or concerns regarding your grant requirements, each region has a California Department of Education Expanded Learning Division consultant, analyst, and county leads or staff to answer questions and provide assistance with your grant. There are many resources on the CDE before and after school webpage, including reporting due dates, forms, assist access, guidance on costs, including direct services and administration costs, field trips and recognition policy, frequently asked questions, California nutrition standards, and contact information for CDE and system of support for expanded learning leads. To access this information, please visit www.afterschoolnetwork.org/grants101.
We just want to thank you for all that you do to support students in expanding learning programs and your commitment to youth.
This video is one of 4 videos providing information regarding the program requirements for expanded learning programs in California. Other expanded learning in California topics that you can access include federal program monitoring, continuous quality improvement, and quality standards for expanded learning. Thank you for watching. This video has been brought to you by the California Department of Education's Expanded Learning Division and the California After School Network.